and really what I felt like this movie did, especially with Wolverine, was like, we're going to give you stuff for Wolverine that you've always wanted, that it's crazy to think we never got to see in the 25 or 20 years of Hugh Jackman. We didn't get to see some of these classic Wolverine things. So we're just going to give you all of them.
All of them.
I love it. Just
It
can't get
is
it right.
a kick in the teeth. Welcome back to the Movie Dads podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Howie.
I'm Kyle.
That is Kyle. We're back, episode number 56. Big premiere movie of the week. One we've been waiting for. The 2024 superhero action comedy, Deadpool and Wolverine. And just like with any other big premiere movie of the week, we will give a spoiler warning during our review, so you can feel free to skip ahead, because let me tell you, there are several spoilers. So you'll want to not listen if you haven't seen the movie. But before we get to all that, if you're watching us on YouTube, please click the like and subscribe. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, leave a comment. Make sure you click the bell to get notifications on when new episodes come out, which is at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you can find us on other podcast networks such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, among many others. You can also find some of our short clips and videos on social media at Movie Dads Pod, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We're Movie Dads. We've got movie kids. Busy weekend in our household. We had Dez's 8th birthday party, which was cool. So we did pool party and sleepover, which included things like a Nerf war and some movies and stuff like that. Grayson was here. It was a really fun time. Not huge party. I would have probably eaten a bullet if there would have been a whole bunch more boys here that evening. Good Lord Almighty. It is hard to corral 8-year-old boys. Let me tell you what. It's hard enough to corral like 2 or 3 kids. Am I saying shit that's off color again?
It's just you and your kid comments are always just...
Yeah. When I'm talking about kids' sleepovers. Man.
Oh, Grayson had a great time. He would not shut up about it. Originally, he was supposed to go to Grandma's house for that evening, because I think we just had our weekends backwards, and we realized it kind of last minute. He was like, I want to go to Grandma's. And I'm like, dude, you're going to go fucking stay with Desi and all your friends all night. He's like, oh, never mind. Okay. It was just like having a blast.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that I forgot is your son is an early riser.
Dude.
So the other boys are all asleep, and Grayson comes in, wakes me up, and he's like, I'm bored. And I'm like, okay, I'll get the TV turned on for you.
Dude, but so one of the reasons why I was a little late to getting on the pod is because he came down after they were in bed and was like, Dad, I need my Ninja Turtle watch. I'm like, why? It's like, because it goes off at 5:30 when I'm able to get up. Like we have to have an alarm set, and it's not at 5:30. We have it set at like 6 or 6:30. But he consistently gets up between 5 and 5:30, and we often have to yell at him to be like, dude, do not get out of your freaking bed, because usually he wakes the baby up. But he'll go downstairs and get on his tablet, and if we didn't like force a time for him, he would be down at like 4 a.m. awake for the day.
That's crazy to me. Like, I used to think it was crazy because Dez used to wake up at 7 a.m. like clockwork. It didn't matter how late he went to bed. It didn't matter what day of the week it was. It was like 7 a.m. on the dot. He was awake, like a mental alarm. Yeah. I couldn't freaking imagine a kid getting up every day at like 5:30.
I tell him that all the time. Dude, you have no obligation. Sleep. Parker is different. Parker is a rock. He will go to bed and he'll stay up there literally all day asleep if we don't go and wake him up. So Parker or Grayson and the baby are on the same fucking time zone though, because none of them sleep. But anyways, nice.
Anyway, party was great. It was a super fun time. So go ahead.
Love that. Last weekend of baseball, that was fucking great to finally wrap that up. Kids had a great season. It was a blast. Saturday, we kicked the two. Obviously, we sent one kid over to your house for the night. We sent the other two to the in-laws so that we could go hang out with some friends at this new place called Smash Park, which I don't know if you've heard of that, but man, the place is
I think
pretty
our
dope.
mutual friend of ours just had his birthday party there, I think. So,
oh, maybe I missed the invite, or I probably
was
had the
out of
invite,
town.
just didn't go. So that's pretty common for me.
I think it was when you were in Arizona.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense. Well, we went there for the first time. The place is amazing. Like, has acts. It literally has any like dude game, like outdoor game, party game, like that you can think of. Freaking bowling, darts, but like super high quality and really fun. So that was cool. So we went and had some fun with friends. It was social. My wife was shocked. I actually had a good time. I was out late.
I know. I needed you too. There was so much going on.
Oh, I know you. I didn't see it till late. I just saw. I was going through my like my notifications, and I just saw my name in like full caps. Like, Kyle! Oh my god! It's like, what is happening?
Saturday night was crazy, right? So the boys are having the sleepover, right? We're trying to keep that under control. UFC 304 is on, and I'm trying to watch that with my brother-in-law's over. We're trying to watch that because we're big UFC people. And then San Diego Comic-Con's going on at the same time. Hall H is like Marvel, and we'll get to it here at 6 to midnight. But my mind was like,
it's all over the place.
There's so much going on, and I'm like, I need somebody to talk to, quick.
Yeah. By the time we got home from this place and like settled down at like 1 a.m., the back of my head was just like itching. I thought like maybe I was just like tired from a long day of coaching because we were out baseball all day and then we went to this thing all night. So I was like scratching the back of my head. And then I was like, noticed my ears were super hot. And then I was kind of like, I just like immediately hit me of like, I think I'm having like a severe allergic reaction right now to something. I have no idea what it was, but I did. And for most of the night, Saturday night, between like 1 a.m. and 6 a.m., I thought I was gonna die. I had hives all over my body. Like my ears were all swollen. My feet were swollen. My eyes were swollen. My throat didn't swell up. But like my tongue had gotten numb. Like my fingers were numb. I didn't know what the fuck was going on because I'm not like allergic to anything that I know of my whole life. And I didn't eat or do anything weird in the night. Just randomly, I was just like, I thought I was dying, literally. So like for most of Saturday night, I didn't get to catch up on anything because I was like panicking that I was going to die. And took a lot of Benadryl, ended up being fine. Still have no idea what it was. Didn't go to the hospital or doctors, but if I break out and swell up in the middle of this pod, we know something's going on with me. But
I'll call somebody for you.
Okay. Finish the episode then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll just weekend at Bernie's. Yeah. You'll be all right.
Oh my gosh. Yes. But anyway, so I survived. I did not die, but I almost did. And I mean, you just mentioned it. Let's just jump right into my most excited segment of the podcast, our 6 to midnight. This is the part of the show where we talk about the things that get us up in the morning this week. So what we're excited about, nerd news, trailers, casting news, all that jazz. And this week, boy, did we have a lot. So I'm going to let you.
There is a social media clip I shared on our Instagram and that I have watched at least a dozen times because I still don't believe that it's true. On this show last week, we said, ha, ha, ha. We were talking about what could happen in Deadpool and Wolverine. We got a lot right, by the way. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of that stuff right we were talking about. But there was one thing we said, and we said, boy, there's this rumor that Robert Downey Jr. showing up as a Dr. Doom variant. Wouldn't that be crazy? Ha, 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 ha. Boy, we were wrong about that one.
And we thought that they would only do it in this Deadpool movie because it's a random like one.
Because it's crazy. Because it's fucking insane to think about.
Yeah.
But they showed this awesome sizzle reel at Comic-Con, right? When they had already gone through and we'll talk about it, but They did Captain America and they did Thunderbolts and they did Fantastic Four. And they talked about all the stuff that's coming up. And then they show this sizzle reel of like Infinity War and Endgame. And it's like, to the greatest fans in the world, we missed you. We love you 3000. Boom, Russo Brothers are back, right? We talked about that last week. How awesome news that would be. Marvel's like, bring them back, go for gold. Let's get the good guys in here. The guys that, man, hit home runs. They did 4 movies for Marvel: Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. Home runs. They hit 4
I didn't say this
home
last
runs.
week. It was like they haven't been doing well with what's been coming out, just primarily because of the character choices. But they're like, all right, let's break the emergency glass and bust the Russo brothers out so we can get back to what we're doing.
So the Russo brothers are sitting on a mountain of money right now, ready to come back for 2 films. Okay, so they announced the second film first because we already knew it was coming out in 2027. Avengers Part 6, which is known as Avengers Secret Wars. We talked a little bit about Secret Wars and how important that is. So then they said, well, before that, we have another movie we're doing, and we have to introduce one of the most important characters in all of Marvel, and we need him in order to do Secret Wars the right way. So then they announced the title for Avengers 5, which is going to be called Avengers Doomsday, right? And the whole room lights up green. They got like 30 or 40 freaking Doctor Doom clad people walk out on stage. And then, you know, I think it was Anthony Russo's like, we had to find the right person who could play Doctor Doom. We need the greatest actor in the world, right? And you could hear the crowds like, who are they talking about? You know, like, they're talking about the rumors, right? Like, is it Killian? You know, like, who is it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so then the crowd parts and there's one guy in a bright green suit walks to the middle of the stage and he pulls the mask off and it's fucking Robert Downey Jr. And the crowd loses, just does the Iron Man arm extension.
It was literally like it felt like Tony Stark doing. It was like a monumental moment that will now be forever remembered in like nerd history. Just the way he pulled his mask off and threw his arms out was like, "Yep, that's me." The fucking place went
puts
wild.
His shades on. He gives a little side smile to the Russo brothers and Kevin Feige, like, yeah, and just and he says, "New mask, same task." And so a lot of people are mad.
Yeah, I saw that.
A lot of people are mad about it because they don't want a bullshit Tony Stark variant playing Doctor Doom. Now, I've watched that clip like 10 fucking times at least. They both Russo brothers say Victor Von Doom. They don't say Doctor Doom. They full name him as Victor Von Doom before they introduce Robert Downey Jr. It seemed intentional when they said it. I firmly believe that he is Victor Von Doom and he is not a Tony Stark variant.
Yeah, I don't think now, luckily in the Marvel world, like they don't really have to do like full on like origins. Like we don't have to see him become Doctor Doom. So one, they could go the route where he's already like fully masked and like that clears up everything, right? I mean, unless he talks like Tony Stark, he could have his own Victor Von Doctor Doom voice.
I'm assuming he's going to have some sort of voice modulator or something, I would think.
Oh my God. Just can you picture that? Just like a little robot voice, like just like on top. I think that'd be awesome. Also, they could go like Colin Farrell Penguin style where they like prosthetic him up so much so that it's like a totally different human.
Well, I'm going to assume he's going to be in the suit the entire time. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work, but I mean, I'm hoping they go Mandalorian and not Halo.
If Doctor Doom is in this movie and he doesn't have a metal face the entire time,
it's bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's bullshit.
You're totally right. Then it's bullshit.
Name a moment in comics where Doctor Doom, you see him without his helmet mask look.
It's like bonded to his face.
Yeah. Dude, he is such a badass character and villain.
Yes.
I am juiced that he is the bad guy, no matter who it is. So, I'm not on the side of like angry. Like, you know me, like DC stuff pisses me off. I get involved in that. The Marvel
Mhm.
stuff, I'm just like, all right, whatever we get, we get. And I'm happy with it. But I love RDJ. He's awesome.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
so awesome. But it does feel kind of like we we had to bring him, the main character, the main person for this whole thing that started it all. You had to break the Russo Brothers glass and the RDJ glass. They
But let's
both the emergencies. They
so
pulled the
I've
switch.
been thinking a lot about this. There's a couple things here. One, did you know that he was a finalist to play Doctor Doom in 2005?
Okay, I saw that. I saw an interview between Feige
Favreau, I
and
think.
Favreau,
Mm-hmm.
and Favreau was talked about that, and like it almost seemed like Feige didn't remember that or know that. He was
You're
kind of
right.
like,
That's
oh
exactly
yeah,
right.
like
Oh,
oh
that's
yeah, I guess he
right.
did.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, like that they didn't realize that, but that is kind of a cool little nugget of information.
So let's just put this out there. So you're Robert Downey Jr. You are you just won an Oscar for playing a villain. First off, so let's not even begin to say that he can't play a bad guy because he just played an asshole.
I forgot that he won.
He won, yeah, he won for Oppenheimer. He's iconic as Iron Man. I mean, like in the pantheon of superhero castings, he's probably number one, right? Of like
Yeah,
you
in
got
terms
the
of like,
perfect actor to play the
he
character.
is that character.
He is that character, right? Like if you're him and you've now won your Oscar, you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can do shit for fun if you want now, right? If he had as much fun playing Iron Man as we think he did, maybe he was like, what do you guys think if I played a bad guy? You know?
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, would you do Doctor Doom? And he's like, fuck yeah, I'd play Doctor Doom. Who wouldn't say yes to Doctor Doom?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it went down. I don't know that, but
it's just
I could
it's
see it
so
happen.
interesting. Not to
It's
give any
very,
spoilers away for the movie we're going to talk about, but there is an actor playing a role in the Deadpool movie that you think is a specific character he's played, but it's actually a different character.
right.
And the difference in those characters like completely changes like how I see this actor. Like in one of
Right.
the roles, I'm like, you are amazing. The other one, I'm just like, God, you are so annoying. So like, I wonder if I don't think that would happen to RDJ in this case because I think he's going to lean into being just an epic villain that we're
Yes.
going to root for, like we did Thanos in Endgame. No, not Endgame. Infinity Wars, right?
Yeah.
Which one was it? Infinity War.
Infinity War. Yeah. Well, or both.
I know, but he wins in Infinity War, and we all like
Right.
wanted him to. But in Endgame, we're like, all right, dude, let's end this.
Time's up.
So I guess that's not really a comparison, but in terms of like the same actor playing different characters in a universe, that's where my head was at. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. I think he'll probably be better at it than Cillian would have been.
It's hard to say. We'll never know. Or will we?
Yeah, I was gonna say, or will we? Maybe we'll get Killian for something else.
Or maybe we'll get multiple Dooms. Could. There's multiple Dooms out there. It's a possibility. That's all I'm saying.
What if Killian plays Victor Von Doom before he gets his armor and then just they swap it for RDJ? It could go anyway, man. There was more to the weekend than just this, but it was like an epic moment in movie history.
Huge,
I would say.
Huge news. Yeah, huge. Probably the wildest thing that they introduced out of.
Yeah, and the way that it happened was fucking cool. Like it was like a movie moment happened. So I just spit all over my microphone.
It was insane. Do you want me to keep going about Marvel, or did you want to talk about DC?
Let's talk about all the great things Marvel did, and then I'll exactly how it went down. So
we so just a little bit. So Captain America: Brave New World. We got the cast came out, talked a little bit. We got confirmation that Giancarlo Esposito is playing Sidewinder, who in the comics is the head of the Serpent Society. So that's kind of neat. We get Serpent Society in a film, but they had like Tim Blake Nelson out there who's playing the leader. I don't know if you saw the clip. Harrison Ford came out and he did a hulked out. Did you see that?
I saw that. Yeah.
It was pretty wild for Harrison Ford to do that.
People are talking about like they got to be giving this man a mountain of money because he's acting more interested and excited about this role than he has since before he was in the original Star Wars.
Yeah, say like ever.
He's never been like this.
Yeah, so. maybe they said like, hey, remember Dial of Destiny? You kind of owe us one. So I didn't dislike that movie. He just lost a shit ton of money. So maybe they said you owe us one. But I guess in the preview that was shown in Hall H, like you actually get to see him turn into Red Hulk, like in the White House, which I guess is pretty neat. So I'll be excited to see that when the next trailer comes out. Then Thunderbolts came out. Not a ton there. We already know the cast.
I don't think I saw anything of that.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot about Thunderbolts. They basically just talked to the cast. I don't know if they had footage or not. It didn't sound like it. They talked a little bit about. So the Thunderbolts are like Marvel's Suicide Squad. So they're basically villains from previous movies. Some villains, some anti-heroes. So like it's Winter Soldier, right? Sebastian Stan. Black Widow's sister, Yelena.
Is that
Florence Pugh?
Is that the mummy girl?
No.
Who's
Florence Pugh?
What's that? Who's Florence Pugh? I don't know who the fuck Florence Pugh is.
How do you not know who Florence Pugh is? She's an Oppenheimer. She's the girlfriend that's naked in a bunch of the movie that drowns herself. She's Black Widow's sister. Where have you been? Anyway,
I didn't watch the Black Widow movie.
That's too bad.
Shocker.
Red Guardian, which is
wasn't the mummy girl in that movie though?
Who was the mummy girl? Who are you talking about?
Fucking O'Connell's babe from the Mummy, and the Mummy Returns.
She's like Black Widow's mom.
Oh,
she's not in Thunderbolts.
Okay,
she's old, man. What are you talking about? Get out of here.
Shut your mouth.
Taskmaster.
Didn't see him. He was in which movie?
Black Widow. That's a girl.
I thought Taskmaster was a guy.
In the comics, it's a guy.
They gender swapped that in the movie? I didn't know that. It didn't seem like that in the trailer.
Spoiler alert! In the movie,
that's a spoiler.
It's part of the plot. But God, who else? Ghost from Ant-Man and Wasp, U.S. Agent.
Now I'm tracking now.
Poor man's Captain America.
Yes.
Anyway, that's Thunderbolts.
Damn, everything you just said just really hit home in where I fell off in the Marvel universe, man. After the Avengers, it's not as good.
It's true. Yeah. It's still better to see.
I think that's cool. That'll be cool. Who's directing that?
I don't remember. Listen, nobody cared about Thunderbolts. They wanted to see.
Okay, we talked more about than they did at Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's true. They wanted to see Avengers, and then they wanted to see Fantastic Four, which has an official title, which is called Fantastic Four: First Steps. It is confirmed it's in an alternate universe. It takes place in the 60s, but it's like a futuristic 60s, like you're in the fucking Jetsons, which is
I liked the vibe. I
did too.
Like the vibe that I got from Fantastic Four.
And somebody got a good reel of the footage they showed. Somebody got some good film of it at Comic-Con, and it leaked on the internet. It does look cool. You get like a brief glimpse of the thing. It looks like a guy in a suit, but I can't imagine it is. There's no way that they put the thing as a guy in the suit.
That would be weird. That would be weird.
But they did confirm the Fantastic Four are going to be in both Avengers movies. So I'm sure that's going to be explained.
Cool.
And you got to see Galactus, like peeking in a window, and it looked dead comic accurate.
Dude,
badass.
I thought Galactus looked cool. They casted that with the deep voice guy from The Vitch, right?
Yeah, Ralph Ineson,
I think that with Doom, we might get some good villain action here. Again, the vibe, like the setting and just the overall theme for Fantastic Four it's like it's so Marvel, and that I watched it, I'm like, God, that's so different than a normal, like a typical superhero vibe, but it's like perfect
Yes.
for getting like excited about this movie, because the last two that came out, though I think the first one didn't do too bad. The last two reboots, I should say, because the first reboot had two movies and then there was one horrible one. The first one wasn't that bad. I enjoyed it way back in the day, but this looks way cooler, way more interesting than the previous versions.
I agree. They're definitely doing something different. There looks like they're actually going to go to space. But I like the 60s vibe because I feel like you're going to get real old school kind of Fantastic Four feel to it. You know, Marvel's first family. Like when they talk about 85 years of Marvel this year, they base all that, you know, like a lot of everything's based on Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And like their suits even feel like dated, like a tiny,
super retro.
Yeah, they're perfect.
So anyway, excited. I think that'll be cool. I love to see how they incorporate it. I can't help but wonder if Doom shows up in Fantastic Four. I mean, he is above anything else a Fantastic Four.
There was something Fantastic Four in a recent movie we just watched that also showed up at Hall H for this Fantastic Four thing that, like, I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but it did happen. And once we talk about the movie, I will talk more about what we are discussing. Not that it's a spoiler, but
yeah, no, we'll save that for the context. But
okay, so Marvel, we got Thunderbolts, we got Fantastic Four, Doom,
Captain America.
I was gonna say, I didn't feel like there was anything Captain America other than Harrison Ford rocking out. Like no real new updates or news on that.
The biggest thing was Giancarlo Esposito, the Sidewinder. Yeah. That was the biggest thing. Really was.
DC just like, God, talk about a wet fart. They just like, it's like no matter who they have helming it, they just never, they're always behind the eight ball in the crucial moments. Like, man, are we way ahead of Batman and Superman? Because those are like years and years away of releasing. I get that. But like, man,
Superman's not, man. It's a year.
I know they had no Superman anything there.
No, so Fantastic Four comes out like at the same time as Superman, and it's Fantastic Four had all this.
Like, yeah, we pretty much got an actual trailer, which they didn't like release or post that trailer. That was just like videoed on.
And it was, right? And it was, I think it was just footage. Like it didn't tie together. Like
pre-release, like not B-roll, but like it wasn't. Yeah. They weren't like, this is a trailer,
right?
But like, so Marvel comes in, they're broke their emergency glass. They're dropping bombs on us left and right. We're all getting juiced and excited. And then DC posts a cartoon trailer for the for what's it? Gosh dang it! Why can't I think of the name? The Creature Commandos show. That, as we've talked about, nobody cares. But before they unveiled that trailer, they had like this whole thing where I like James Gunn. I think he's going to do some cool things. But like they made like a big deal of what the DC like media universe logo is going to be. Like, and then he even says in that, like, I know it sounds like, you know, we would have went into all this like long, hard kind of details of trying to figure this out, but we actually knew what this was going to be the second that we took over this job. And they just brought back the old school, pretty much modernized the old school circle with the stars for DC, which is pretty memorable. I think it was like the 80s through the 2000s or something. So, but they were just like, they unveiled the DC logo for all of the stuff that's now in the DC media world, and then like, this is our new logo, and then here's your Creature Commandos trailer, and then that's it.
Like, good night, everybody.
And they they basically unveiled like Superman t-shirts. Like you can get the Superman like actuals from the movie, the new Superman logo t-shirts. So I sent you like a GIF or a reel or something where it was like it said it was like showing Marvel showing off all this cool stuff, and then it was just like it was a guy like at a t-shirt stand. It was like
On the
James
side of
Gunn
the
in
road.
DC. Yeah, like at Comic-Con, it was just him selling t-shirts and his like logo on badges. It was like, oh my god, we're Bush League. We're so Bush League, DC. Anyways, there
Man,
wasn't really anything else that came out.
I can't believe that. I listen, and I know like DC has a DC Direct that they do for their own stuff, and I get it, but you know, Disney's got D23, like they got the same thing. It's Comic-Con International. It's San Diego Comic-Con. It's Hall H.
Yeah,
You showed up. You talked about the Penguin.
Oh yeah, yeah. They talked about
the show.
The most things that it's not. I mean, those are all like coming out. Like Penguin is coming out soon, and all this stuff is coming out. Like Joker, but it just doesn't feel like any of it is like important or interesting. It's not like main dish. It's not main entrees. Like there's niche side restaurants you have once every year. Like give us the good stuff. Why was David Corenswet not riding a fucking tornado in his red cape into Hall H to
because he doesn't care about the people?
Yeah, he doesn't fucking care about the people. So I don't know. I thought it was a great Comic-Con in terms of cool stuff we got. I'm a little bummed out that we didn't get like cool Batman, Superman info on. Yeah, it's like we're just waiting and looking at behind the scenes like pedestrian photos of Superman while it's filming in Cleveland. It's pretty much all we're doing.
Yeah,
so
it's too bad, but that's where we're at. Anyway, I mean, other than that, news this week pretty much came out at San Diego Comic-Con. There was some cool figures, a cool Batmobile coming out. But
yeah, dude, we're getting the Bat. I had mentioned that on many episodes ago. Like, I think they're gonna do all of the Batmobiles. So McFarlane's dropping the Batman Forever Chicks Dig the Car Batmobile that lights up. So up on my Batmobile wall, it will be a part of that pantheon. I cannot wait for that. So
I think it's
lots of stuff,
lots of figures and stuff, but nothing insanely crazy.
Big Batman cowl. Somebody got the replica.
Oh yeah, the
1989 Batman cowl.
That's the one full size 1989 Michael Keaton cowl that comes with a stand. It does look pretty freaking amazing.
It's gonna look dope in the background of the pod.
I have no idea where it's gonna go. I have not decided yet. I am running out of wall space, so you should see the
guys in the video said you could wear it. Said like you could wear it. So
most humans could probably wear it. Probably not my big ass head, but
do it.
Yeah, most humans. But anyway, yeah, I think that takes us into our big premiere movie of the week, the 2024 superhero action comedy, Deadpool. And what a frickin' movie.
What a movie.
So we were supposed to see this together. We didn't. I had to go out of town for work. I was pissed. And I didn't know what time I was going to get done because it was like Thursday. It was like I had to stay in a hotel Thursday night. We were working late Thursday. We got done at like 7. Kyle's already at the movie. And I'm like, there's got to be a movie theater. There was one literally across the street from my hotel, so I found a showing. I couldn't wait. So I went Thursday night, and then Friday I took Reagan again. So I've seen it twice already. I have my tickets for Wednesday. I'm going to see it a third time.
Oh, I love that. I have not seen it a second time, but I'm planning to.
It's better the second time. I will tell you that.
Gosh,
which is crazy to think. If you're not familiar, we will give a spoiler warning before we give into the spoilery parts of the film. This was 100% a fun movie that was made for fans And I'd seen some reviews early on that had said this was very much a love letter to the Fox 20th Century Fox Marvel movies, and it is in a lot of different ways. And there's a really cool thing at the end that we'll talk about in the spoiler part too that really kind of emphasized that.
It's going to be so hard to talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. So
we're going to get to the spoilers really quick. I'm just going to go through the details of the movie, and then we'll do that. So, like I said, 2024 superhero comedy action film directed by Sean Levy, written by Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy, Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Zeb Wells. The cast includes Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova, and Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox. They're our main cast. What you got there? What do you got there, big shooter? Got mine right here too.
It's my fleshlight. My Wolverine
you actually ate popcorn
fleshlight.
out of yours. Yours is greased up. I didn't. Mine's untouched.
Dude, they're going for like 150 to like $300 on eBay right now.
100%. So I saw a bunch of videos where people were showing up Thursday night to get these, and they were gone already.
Dude,
I suckered my sister into going at noon when the movie theater opened, and she bought me one because I knew I was out of town.
I showed up like, because the movies don't start playing until like the afternoon, a little bit later. And so I showed up at like 3 or 4 for our movie. It was going to be at like 5. I was an hour and a half or so early because I was dropping kids off and was like, I'm not going to drive back and forth in the middle of Friday traffic or Thursday traffic.
Yeah.
And like, I was going to sit in my car and wait. And then I saw like 6 people coming out with like, they went in and came right back in, and they had like buckets and all this stuff. And I was just like, there's no way that they're going to run out, but I'm going to go in and get it. So I went and got mine. And 5 minutes after I got the bucket, I heard the lady was like, this is our last one. So it's like, oh my God, thank God I went in there. So there's a ton of these of different like popcorn gimmicks that they did, but this is like the most popular
because it's the Deadpool designed lewd one. It's supposed to be like the Dune bucket. Like it's supposed to be very Wolverine's about to do something inappropriate.
Yeah.
More about the buckets in a second, but to finish the cast, so Matthew McFadden is Mr. Paradox, Marina Baccarin returns as Vanessa, Rob Delaney as Peter, Leslie Uggams as Blind Owl, make up the principal cast. There are others we won't discuss who all the other actors are right away. The movie's budget was $200 million, production budget with an additional estimated $100 million in marketing because they marketed the shit out of this movie. Opening weekend, all-time record, $211 million domestic for an R-rated movie. Shattered the previous record set by the first Deadpool by like $80 million. It shattered that record. It was the 6th biggest opening of all time. And then it finished the weekend
of any movie ever.
6th all time, any movie ever. Number 1 for R-rated. And then worldwide box office for the opening weekend was $444 million. So it made back its money already and then some.
In a week.
And in a weekend. In Thursday, Friday, days. Saturday, Sunday.
That is bananas.
Yes, it's insane.
That's crazy.
But anyway, there's a Cinemark theater where I went and I got this popcorn bucket. Which is pretty cool. This one's selling for $100 too.
It's like a callback to the...
It's like Go Pinter's Taxi.
Yeah, it's so great. I saw the theater we were at also had the babies. There's like Deadpool baby or something, or I don't know what
there's 2 different theater. Every theater chain got different buckets. There's 2 different baby ones. There was one with like a car seat that also held your soda. That was the one. That's the one that's going for like $150.
Yeah,
so
I don't remember which one. It was the fucking super big baby one that was at the theater too. I wasn't like in my head. I didn't think
I could sell this for $150 tomorrow.
Yeah, it wasn't until way after that I was like, wait, this is like a thing. People sling these like collector buckets. I didn't realize that. Like the Dune bucket, I think is going for a good penny too. So
I don't think any of them ever sold out first day though. I think that's a new for sure. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah.
anyway, though, like, to get right to it, because we want to get into spoilers. Usually before the spoiler warning, we recommend whether or not you should see this movie in the theater. Run, don't walk, especially if you're a Marvel, Wolverine, or Deadpool fan. Get to the theater, see it on the big screen. It's worth every freaking penny.
Yeah. If you haven't gone and seen this movie yet, leave this podcast now
Yeah,
and spend
turn
the
it off
rest
and
of
go.
the time that's here to go see that movie.
And then finish
and
the
then
episode.
come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, what a movie.
What a movie. Spoiler warning, there's a lot. You're going to want to turn this part off if you haven't seen it. So, spoiler warning. Get out. Goodbye. Okay. Early reviews came out for this movie. It's too much. It's no plot, not a lot of substance, but it's fun. Those were the early reviews. This sucker settled at a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is dog shit. Doesn't make any sense to me. The audience scores a 97, which is like an all-time high. Like, I think only one movie ever has been more than 97. I'd read somewhere. I think something was a 98 one time. I don't remember what it was. Proof that some movies are made for audiences and not critics. This movie is made for comic book fans, movie fans, Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool and Wolverine fans. That's who this movie's made for. It's tons of fan service.
Dude.
It's shit tons of fun. It's gratuitously violent. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
All those things happen in this movie.
I didn't realize or even think about that, like, that this would in any way be what you said earlier, what feels like kind of like a love letter to those who grew up on the X-Men, like the original X-Men movies, and those kind of just those Fox superhero movies from that time.
X-Men's, the Daredevils, the Fantastic Fours. This is what this is all about.
And it was just like it sounds so weird to say, but like feels like we were validated for loving those movies, and like
yes,
it was like a reminder of like, dude, those were actually awesome. Like, and we're gonna
especially
wrap
the X-Men
up
movies.
some of these,
yes,
for sure, primarily X-Men. Like, and we're gonna wrap up some of these things that you guys knew from there, and really what I felt like this movie did, especially with Wolverine, was like, we're gonna give you stuff for Wolverine that you've always wanted, that it's crazy to think we never got to see in the 25 or 20 years of Hugh Jackman. We didn't get to see some of these classic Wolverine things, so we're just going to give you all of them.
All of them.
I loved it. The amount of times I'm like, oh my God, brown suit. Like, oh my God, uncanny. Like, it was just,
we were talking about it last week, and I don't remember if we were on the air or not when we were talking about if we were recording, but we said, like, I said, wouldn't it be dope as hell if the brown suit shows up? Wouldn't this be awesome? Wouldn't this be cool? We were talking about it. And I think you texted me and you were like, it felt like Ryan Reynolds watched 25, and obviously he was one of the main writers on this. It felt like Ryan Reynolds watched 25 years of X-Men movies and said, let's give the people what they want.
Yeah. Yes.
And he said, hold my beer, because I'm doing all of it.
Yeah, it was all another kind of validation of like, see, why didn't you just give us this? Like, just give us this. You could have gave us that for so many years. And not that we didn't like the original stuff, but fuck,
not
this
a lot.
Was cool.
Not a lot of movies have a lot of backstory before the movie starts even becoming a movie. But I feel like this one is so important to talk about what happened prior, right? So, like, Deadpool 2 came out in the late teens, was a huge success, made like $800 and some million. Deadpool 3 was definitely a go, and they needed to find the right story, right? So Ryan Reynolds started working on ideas. Boom, what happens? 20th Century Fox sells the rights to Disney. 20th Century Fox is no more. Everything reverts to Disney. All the Marvel characters go to Marvel Studios. Now, we don't know what Marvel's going to do because they have such a 10-year plan on things. What are they going to do with these characters. Like, are X-Men done? Is Deadpool done? Because X-Men had kind of fizzled out by then, right? We got Apocalypse, we got Dark Phoenix. They both sucked.
Barf.
And then Deadpool 1 and 2 were huge successes. So the story goes basically is Kevin Feige had a meeting with Ryan Reynolds. He says, we want to do a Deadpool movie, but we need the right story. We don't want to feel like it's a retread of what has already happened. And Ryan Reynolds is on board with that. I'm working on a couple things right now, and then we'll get to it. So he was filming the Atom Project with Sean Levy, who he'd already done Free Guy with. And he said, hey, would you have any interest in doing Deadpool 3? I know you don't like doing sequels. You only like doing original material. And Sean Levy was basically like, listen, I love Marvel movies. 100%. I would love to do that. I think that would be a blast. So they start getting to work on a story. There's writers that come in. They didn't use their script, right? Because they couldn't figure out a story. And then the story goes basically out of nowhere. Hugh Jackman calls Ryan Reynolds and says, I think I want to do this team up movie still that we talked about forever ago. He's like, I think I want to. And Ryan Reynolds like, are you sure? You know, like, you retired after Logan, you were like, I'm done. He goes, now I think I want to do this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And so Ryan Reynolds had already had a meeting set up with Kevin Feige where they were going to talk about where they were at in the development process. And he basically walked in the room and said, we got Hugh Jackman. We're doing a Wolverine and Deadpool team up. Hadn't written a single thing yet, but they knew what they were doing. And now they had a story. And that's how it went. And of course, Kevin Feige was like, how much do you need?
Yeah, that's right. What do we got to do to make sure that happens?
So that's kind of how it started. I feel like that's so important to telling this story.
Well, that and just like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have had such a fun, like friendship rivalry. It's obviously not actual rivalry, but they do nothing but make fun of each other, and it's been like that for years and years and years. And like, at the time that we all realized, like, oh man, we could do Wolverine and Deadpool, like Wolverine was done or close to the end and it wouldn't have fit. So like, it was like, oh man, that would have been so cool, but there's no way that will ever happen. And then this thing just came along and was like exactly what you said. Ryan Reynolds essentially was like, we're getting him back. And since we've got him back for this one time, maybe, we're gonna give you everything that we can to make, like, just to fucking make Wolverine feel like a badass. Like, not to jump all over the movie and go to the end or anything, but like, the second that his freaking cowl came on, I went 6 to midnight, just full on. It was so awesome.
At that point, we'd already been like 90 minutes into a movie. And they do the walk that you've seen in the last few trailers, where they're walking to the end of the street in front of Liefeld's Just Feet store, right?
Yeah.
And he stops.
How great was that?
And I'm like, and I had thought about it for like that last 30 minutes or so. I'm like, everybody said they swear he's wearing the cowl in this movie. I really hope he does. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the movie, but I hope he does. And he just reaches back in slow motion and pulls it over his head. Dude, I'm not kidding. As a Marvel fan, as a Wolverine fan, like, my eyes welled up. And I know that sounds super fucking gay. But him putting that cowl on and seeing it was like, I've never seen this in a movie before. And that means so much. And I'll feel the same way if they ever get Venom right, I think.
Yeah.
I'll feel the same way. I mean, like, they keep putting Venom out there and it's fucking wrong every time. But, you know, if they ever get it right.
It was like, I mean, we've been talking about X-Men a lot this year because of X-Men 97, which was just like the perfect timing to prime and set this movie up for, like, we're already really in that kind of that side of X-Men, like that interest of, we want blue and yellow Wolverine, which was teased way, way, way long time ago. I can't remember if it was X-Men 1 or 2. There was like a behind the scenes picture of his cowl in like a box or something that was never used in the movie, and it was just like,
Well,
oh,
then they
what if?
teased it again in the Wolverine when he's on the plane, like flying back from Japan. She hands him a box, and it's the suit. And
Well, and then there's
again, they never fucking did anything with it.
Yeah, and then they even made fun of it in X-Men 1, where he's like talking about like black leather, and they're like, what would you wear? Blue and yellow spandex? Like making fun of it. So it's like, okay, we're
Yeah,
never gonna get that.
Do
So
it.
I love that because I mean, obviously when they first released this, he had like sleeves with his X-Men suit, which was like, we're getting blue and yellow, but like he didn't have sleeves, but you know what? We're getting blue and yellow. And I love that they were able to still get him over to like sleeveless blue gloves. He had the little metal, the freaking cartoon metal claw sheets, like. And then when that cow came on, it was like it felt like Batman was on the screen. Like he looked cool. They had the whited out eyes. He was, I mean, obviously Hugh Jackman in every movie he's ever been in, he's fucking jacked. But like for someone who's way up there in age in terms 55? Of being like a jacked 55? Superhero.
Yeah.
Dude was shredded. I did not think we were going to get a shirtless scene, but man.
Yeah, I guess I can say again, you get to the, we're skipping ahead to the end, but like where his like shirt like vaporizes and Ryan Reynolds like.
Yeah, he's like.
So he leans back looking at his glistening abs. It's.
Dude, because of Deadpool being like his character breaks the fourth wall all the time, it made so many moments in this movie like 100 times better because they literally like address the elephant in the room on multiple things that we were all thinking. Like when we get a different Wolverine that we had been, teased and behind the scenes, maybe old Superman is going to be a Wolverine, right? And God, he would be perfect as it. But would they really do that? They're not going to do that. And the second that he zips into that world and you see, dude, revving the engine, it's like you immediately know. We all just kind of sat back like, oh my God, is
it really him?
Are we getting him? And then I can't remember what Deadpool says, but he kind of looks to the screen and says something exactly what we were all thinking.
He says, I think he says Cavalrine.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Screw those assholes down the street. We'll treat you so much better here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was perfect.
It was perfect. And I
think he says something too like, oh, everybody wondered how this would feel and it feels so right. Something like that. It was epic. It was so epic.
Almost feel like there's one part of me, it was like, oh, that was just like a funny cameo of like, we made this happen. But there's another side of me that's like, I think we're getting a new Wolverine for the new X-Men movies. So maybe they would bring him in to be that guy.
And maybe it was a test, like how did people really like it? Like how did people really like John Krasinski as Reed Richards and Doctor Strange? Maybe it was a little bit more lukewarm than they thought it was going to be.
Dude, the whole freaking theater.
Give us Cavalrine.
Yeah, give us Cavalrine. The whole audience gasped when he showed up. I also loved that when Deadpool's jumping trying to find a Wolverine for this movie storyline, the first one he goes to is like he turns and he's tiny. He's comic accurate, which everybody's talked about since Hugh Jackman's been this character of like the comic book. He's not 6'5" and
he's like 5'3".
He's like 5'3", like he's tiny. So Deadpool even says like, "Oh my God, comic accurate
hands on his knees. Comic accurate Wolverine. What are you doing there, little buddy?"
That was fucking hilarious.
It is fucking hilarious.
We got Uncanny Wolverine, right?
Let's back up, right? Let's back up.
We're
start from the beginning.
I'm going from the end to the beginning.
We're like we're fangirling all over this movie. Start from the beginning.
Over it.
Basically, it starts off as kind of a flashback. You get like, so Deadpool's in the costume. He's talks about, everybody probably wondered how we're going to preserve the legacy of Logan and that. And he shows the grave. He goes, "We're not." And he digs him up. He's like, "There's no way he's dead. He's Wolverine. He regenerates, blah, blah, blah." And he pulls out his skeleton and he proceeds to fight the entire TVA with the bones of dead Logan over the title card while he dances to Bye 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 NSYNC, which is an amazing scene. It's great. But it sets the tone for the movie right away. You know, they're not going to pull any punches because they're desecrating Logan's skeleton already. He's killing these people in horribly violent ways. Yep. And there are sexual innuendos all over the place. So we're good. We know what's about to happen. So then it says, well, I better back up and tell you where this all began. Basically, after Deadpool 2, and he went back in time and he fixed a bunch of stuff, right? Like he killed the Origins version of himself. He killed Brian Reynolds reading Green Lantern. He brought back all of X-Force alive. He went to Earth 616, which is the sacred timeline, and basically said, I want to be an Avenger. And Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau, made a cameo, which was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Said the Avengers are needed by the people. The Avengers, don't need to be Avengers. So basically tells Deadpool to go get lost, go back to your own. Yeah, go back to your own universe. So he goes back to his own universe. He's a used car salesman. He's not Deadpool anymore. His girlfriend left him. You can tell he's depressed, but he works with Peter. Peter loves him, and they have the suit in the locker. It's hilarious. TVA comes, grab Deadpool, take him to TVA. That's where you meet Mr. Paradox, who basically says, like, we need you to suit up and be Deadpool again. And he does. It's a cool sequence where he gets his new costume with his new swords and everything. And then he explains, well, we need you to do this because we have to, your world is slowly dying. You're slowly dying. And we want to give you the opportunity to go to a different world. And he's like, well, what's going to happen to all my friends? He goes, well, they're all going to die. And he's like, well, how long does that take? He goes, usually a couple thousand years, but we're going to go ahead and prune it now. You have about 72 hours. And so then Deadpool's like, well, what the hell why is it dying? He's like, basically, every timeline has like a prime being, core being, something like that, like a prime being. And his timelines was Logan. And so Logan dying at the end, and which I thought was a cool little nod to the importance of that movie as well, which it was, right? And so that was neat. And so that's when he decides he's going to go dig him up. He basically breaks Mr. Paradox's nose. He steals his little TVA clicker, and he leaves and he goes, oh, Wolverine's dead. He kills all these TVA guys. That's when he decides, well, I'm going to do this. I got to find me another Wolverine. That's where we were at with the cavalry and the little Wolverine. But go ahead. Now tell the rest of them, now that we're up to speed on why he's looking through all these timelines.
Okay, now we know why they perfectly found a way to put in the movie multiple versions of this character. Obviously, we're not going to get a full movie of certain ones of these Wolverines or versions of them, but it was cool that they were like, let's find a way to do it so we can get as many in there as possible. So we got Uncanny Wolverine, which he's missing a hand. That's
Age of Apocalypse.
I thought it was called it was the Uncanny Wolverine. He was one-handed.
He just went by Weapon X.
Hair.
Yeah, he just went by Weapon X in that series. But that was Age of Apocalypse, where like Magneto's the leader of the X-Men because Xavier was dead, and Apocalypse rules the world, and Wolverine's got one hand. And go ahead.
It was perfect. Yeah, the way they did that world felt like very like 90s, like super over the top. Mm-hmm. He was crazy. His hair was all wild. He looked just perfect.
Why is everything on fire?
Yeah. Then they zip over to like brown suit Wolverine, and that was where I did like the Leo DiCaprio, like
they did it. They actually did it.
So not only did we get brown suit Wolverine, which was like, because I immediately thought of what you had said of like, I hope they find a way to get that in this, or maybe he'll wear it at some point, like in the movie. But not only did we get that, but then immediately
Deadpool's like, isn't that the outfit? Isn't that the costume you were wearing when you fought the Hulk?
Yes, so then
Yeah.
we immediately find out that we're right in the middle of like one of the most famous like fight scenes for
Yeah.
Wolverine in his like comic
And they
history.
even
So
the cover of the comic is Wolverine in the orange suit with his claws out, and you see Hulk's reflection in the claws, and they
and we got
perfectly
that.
mimic it in the movie. You see Hulk's
Yes.
face in the reflection, and then of course he
Yes.
just smashes Deadpool against a tree.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what other
Oh, okay.
Wolverine variations, but
I've like
bring it on.
burned them in. So then you get the iconic cover from Wolverine issue number 8,
Oh yeah,
where
on
he's
this.
Patch, where he's under
Oh
that one
shoot.
out there,
Oh
where he's
yeah.
Patch
Fuck, I
in the
forgot
white
about the
tuxedo,
yes, the
and he's
James Bond
undercover.
looking one.
Yes, and so you get Patch, and is it and Madripoor, and you get that one, and then yes, you get the cover of Uncanny X-Men 251, where he's crucified on the X, and it's bloody skulls all over, and
I love that.
it's fucking amazing.
Yes.
And it's perfect. They each one of those, I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I know what
Yes.
all these are.
Same.
It was great.
I'm like smacking my wife of like, oh my god, look, she was excited to see this movie, which it's been a while since she's like nerded out about wanting to go to a movie, but
Yeah.
like she was laughing at how like me and random strangers that were sitting right next to me, I have no idea, we were equally nerding out together like,
Yes.
oh my god, bro, like I can't believe that's so it was god, it was great. I loved that.
What a
And that was
perfect
just the
scene.
beginning of
Yes.
the moments like that.
You know by then when he finds the Wolverine, and basically he settles on the Wolverine that he finds because he's not the first one that just kills him immediately, right?
Yeah.
He actually talks to him, and that's why he settles on the one that he ends up with in the movie. But like that whole, you knew from that moment on. I mean, like he had just met Wolverine, and you're like, this movie is something special because of everything that just happened. Like it was so perfectly done. Basically, you find out later on, but this is a troubled and tormented Wolverine. Nobody likes him. You don't know why. You kind of get the hint of that in the trailers. There's something up, but you don't know what. He's a drunk. A lot of Wolverines are. But basically, Deadpool carries him away, and he notices that he's wearing the yellow suit, and so he rips off his other clothes and he has the yellow suit on underneath. Takes him back to Paradox at the TVA and says, "Look, I found a new core being for our timeline. You can save it." And of course, Paradox is like, "That's not how this works. Like, even if you wouldn't have picked the worst Wolverine, you still can't do it that way. That's not how this works, right?" So then that's where he basically sticks them with the TVA wands, which sends them into the void. Anybody who's watched Loki would know that's what that does. It basically sends them into the trash heap, which is a big plot point in the movie. They get sent in the trash heap. Now, this is where Wolverine and Deadpool have their first battle, is in front of the 20th Century Fox logo, which is amazing. It's the one you see in the trailer where there's like the issue of Secret Wars sitting in the sand, and everybody was trying to read the tea leaves on what the hell that meant. Nothing.
The tea leaves.
They put that there just to fuck with you.
Yes.
And they have an awesome battle. I think, what was it? Was it to Thunderstruck? The
Yes,
music's amazing. The music's fucking awesome in this movie in so many different ways.
Fucking fantastic. And
they have this huge violent battle, right? And then there's a figure on top of a tower cloaked in a hood that says they're coming. And you see all these like Mad Max vehicles coming towards them. And you've seen that in the trailer. It's Sabretooth, it's Toad, it's all these old X-Men villains coming to round them up. So Deadpool immediately sees this figure on the tower and is like, "Oh my God, it's him." And I was like, I can't tell who it is yet. You don't see it. You just see like these blue sleeves.
We had blue and there was some red on his sleeve too. So you were like, is that who I think it is?
Go ahead.
Is that Mr. G.I. Joe himself? And when you first see him, I like, to my wife was like, oh my God, it's Captain America. We're getting Chris Evans back. And then I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just because we had jumped between all these other movies, and maybe it was because they were keeping him so like under hood. Before they unveiled it, was like, Oh my God, it's Human Torch. It's gonna be the
I
Human Torch. And
never thought it was Human
it
Torch.
was
Never.
when I knew it was Chris Evans.
Yes.
Because
And
I
then
could tell they were setting it up.
and then he
Yes,
starts
and
cursing, and Deadpool kind of looks at him like, "Wait a minute." And that was when it was
yes,
like, "Oh shit! Now I know who it is."
yeah, like you're definitely not freaking Steve Rogers, Boy
Right.
Scout, like your New Yorker fucking tool bag Human Torch version, which what I was talking about earlier, an actor playing a different character in the same universe. That him as Human Torch, though he was great in the original movie, and him
Was.
as that character in this, he's nowhere near the aura or cool or badassness of Steve Rogers Captain America. So
No.
like I hope, and that's on purpose. Obviously, they want him to be kind of a D-bag
Yeah.
tool. So but that was, to me, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And that was really where it set in for me of like, okay, I see what this movie is about to do. Like we're about to get some wild shit, some
Yeah.
curveballs left and right. Was not expecting what we end up getting a little bit later on here, but I thought that was cool. Also, obviously, the characters of Deadpool and Wolverine are like regenerative, like health.
Yes.
So they get to do a lot of things in this movie that you would never get to do in any movie because they can basically mess
Kill
each
each
other
other
up without
multiple
killing each
times.
other. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
we got
They
just a
have
ton of cool
multiple
fight
fight scenes.
things.
Yes, that
Yes.
are just crazy. That first one's nuts. Basically, when they pull up and Sabretooth comes down and he's like, "I don't know you, but I know you." And
Yeah.
and Deadpool's like, "Time out." And he's like, "You look ridiculous." And he pulls all the swords that are sticking in
Yeah.
him, right? And he puts them away and he's like, "People have waited forever for this battle, right? Wolverine and Sabretooth. He's your brother, you know." And Wolverine just cuts his fucking head off and it's awesome.
Was my only gripe of this entire movie was that moment. I
Oh, I thought it was
was
perfect.
so bummed that they kept it like he was in the first movie of like it's Sabretooth, but he's not really that big of a deal. Like just immediately took his head off. I
Oh,
thought
I
like
thought that was. I loved it. I thought it was
I
great.
was like, finally, we're gonna get this epic, because Sabretooth and Wolverine have the most badass
Yes.
freaking fights in the comic. So like I thought we were about to get an awesome fight. I would have been happy to get rid of the Van Deadpool Wolverine battle fight to get more
Oh,
of a Sabretooth. Anyways, that was my only thing. And I was like, oh, come on. You cut his head off right away. Boo.
right.
But it was still
I
cool.
get
It was cool.
fair gripe. It was cool, but basically they capture Wolverine with a giant magnet. Deadpool gets caught too. Human Torch like basically decides to flame on Pyro. Pyro just takes it all, absorbs it.
Oh,
And he's
yeah.
like, "Man, you fucking joke." So they capture them all. They take them back to the like you see in the trailer, the big Ant-Man, giant man skull, which has been turned into Cassandra Nova's fortress. You meet her in a very interesting way. Basically, Deadpool says that Human Torch said all these awful, vile things about her and how she could lick his cinnamon ring and things like that. And
Oh, yeah.
it's hilarious. And then she just, and Human Torch is like, "I never said those things. I never fucking said them." And she just like rips all of his skin off and he just collapses into a pile of goo.
Yeah,
And
like
that's,
snaps it off
yeah, there's
immediately.
goes Chris Evans. And
Yeah.
there was his part. It was awesome. But you see
Yeah.
all these old villains, and it's not the same actors, which was, I get it. You probably can't pay them. Like, it's not Ray Park's Toad. It's a
I
different
know.
Lady Deathstrike. You got a Bullseye in there. It's obviously not Colin Farrell. Vinnie
Yep.
Jones wasn't the Juggernaut. And he actually spoke out because he said he really wanted to do it, but what they were willing to pay wasn't what he was willing to work for. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that's what Vinnie Jones said. He said
Dude,
he couldn't negotiate what he wanted to be making. So,
what is Vinnie Jones making?
nothing.
What, bro?
Yeah.
I was so thrown off by that. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that it wasn't Ray Park Toad in the movie. I thought in my head when I was watching, was like, oh my God, they got the same Toad. I was very much like, oh, that's not Lady Deathstrike. And like, oh,
Right.
that's definitely not the Juggernaut.
Right.
And what what other you don't really now maybe they're not saying that this is from the same specific movie. Obviously it's the same character, but the Russian, we got Kevin Nash, the Russian, though you look nothing like Kevin Nash. He's just in his red and white striped shirt. But that was the part where I was like, oh, Punisher. There's Kevin Nash. But well, I thought that like cool little random callback to all those villains. I liked it. It was
so super neat. Cassandra Nova basically said, well, I could send you home if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna. They end up being food for Eliath, and Wolverine and Deadpool escape on a sentinel leg at the very last minute and like fly away.
Which was cool.
So yeah, and they had heard from Human Torch that basically there was a group of like resistance that had, lived on the borderlands, and so then they're like, all right, road trip, we gotta go find them. So they start on this journey. You find a little bit more about Wolverine's backstory, how basically like he had gone out drinking. You find out more about this later on, too, more details, but he'd basically gone out drinking and humans had come and killed everyone while he was away. And he came back and found all their dead bodies of the X-Men. And so he wears the suit to remember what he should have been and could have been. And that's why he's who he is and everybody hates him, is because he let us.
Ray Park was Toad in this.
In Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes, he was his character. Confirmed.
Really?
I just looked it up. No, not all the other characters were.
He's not even in it.
But he was his same self.
That's crazy.
Like, I thought for sure that was him, and I just looked it up and it's confirmed. Wow. But they didn't say any other people were.
Fascinating that they got Ray Park back as Toad and he didn't do a thing.
Darth Maul, welcome to the world.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, they go on a road trip. They run into Dogpool. So Dogpool finds them, which is kind of hilarious. And that's when they find Nice Pool, which is basically Ryan Reynolds with long hair and a ponytail. He doesn't wear a mask because he's pretty. And he basically says, like, oh, yeah, this is where you'll find the Resistance. They're this way. You can borrow my car. And make sure if you run into all the Deadpool variants, you stay away from them because they will kill you. And there's a lot of them. Which I didn't understand that, but okay, whatever.
I didn't understand it either. It's super random that they just.
Why is there a whole bunch of Deadpool variants, but they're going to kill that one? Like,
yeah, I thought same. I thought the same thing.
It's build up for later. I'll just tell you that.
Yes, exactly.
So they get in the van. That's when basically the only reason Wolverine was coming along is because Deadpool had said the TVA can fix your universe and can bring your people back, and that's where Deadpool let slip is like that was a lie. It was an educated wish. Was what he calls it.
Hypothesis.
So Wolverine's pissed again now because he lied to him, and that triggers an epic fight scene inside the minivan, which is set to the tune of "You're the One That I Want" from the Grease soundtrack, which is fucking hilarious because they actually flip through the stations, and there's some Greatest Showman on there.
Showman on there. That was awesome.
I actually would have loved them to fight to "This Is the Greatest Show." That would have been even better,
dude. I think that would have been great. Like you said, this movie, the music was kick-ass. Like, shockingly, I have been listening to Like a Prayer, Madonna's for the last, week because of that. This movie makes that song so cool. So there's a lot of cool moments.
Fun fact about that, like, Ryan Reynolds actually had to go to Madonna's house and show her how they were going to use the song because she doesn't let movies use that song. So she
suggested a change.
Yes, they didn't say what the change was, but she suggested a change in the scene, in that fight scene at the end. So I thought that's a pretty cool story.
And that they took that and they were like, "We're going to do that," and it was the right move. It worked
so much better, right? Yeah, cool. which is pretty cool. They have this epic fight scene in this van. They kill the shit out of each other. Of course, everything heals, but. They both get knocked out or passed out or whatever because it shows they literally fight for like an entire day in this van. Then somebody gets in the car, drives it away. They wake up. They're in I don't know what it is, like a camp. There's like a Scarlet Witch statue or carving on the wall, which I thought was odd, but I couldn't quite figure out where all they were. And then that's where they wake up, and then somebody walks in and we get our next big cameo. It's Jennifer Garner's Elektra.
no inkling that was going to be in this movie. I had no idea. So when she
That
walked
one
in, it
had
was like,
leaked pretty
holy
early.
shit. I
That
didn't
one
see
leaked pretty
that.
early. Yeah, that
I
one
did not see
was
that.
heavily rumored to begin with. She walks in, and that's when somebody else is about to walk in, and that's the one that got me. Was
Dude.
Wesley Snipes as Blade walks in, and it's like, holy shit, it's fucking Blade.
Dude.
And
Fucking Blade.
right,
Who was so badass.
right. Then the third person walks in, and it's Channing Tatum as Gambit, and he's like in
the full Gambit look,
shitty ass rubber Gambit costume that like people fan mocked him up in when he was originally cast as Gambit.
dude.
There are so many inside jokes in that scene.
Yes,
amazing. Like the part where Blade like points at him and he plays at Deadpool. And he's like, "I don't like you," and he's like, "Yeah, you never did," as a callback to Blade Trinity and their like on-set feud that they didn't like each other, which I thought was a hilarious line. They talk about how they ended up in the void, right? Gambit's basic and Channing Tatum's accent is so freaking like Cajun thick. It's obnoxious and hilarious.
Hear me out. The Gambit walking in the full like X-Men 97 Gambit look, that for me was, I think, may have been my favorite part of this movie. Yes. I thought this Gambit, even though his Cajun accent was like, we all know Channing Tatum's not Cajun, so it's hard to buy it or believe it.
Like cartoony, so bad.
And they make him kind of like a dummy, but I thought Gambit was fucking awesome.
There's so much about what he had to say in that scene. So Channing Tatum was cast as Gambit originally in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but there was a scheduling conflict because he was contracted. He had to do the sequel to G.I. Joe. Didn't want to be in the damn movie. He had to do it, and so he couldn't be Gambit in X-Men Origins, and that's why they hired Taylor Kitsch. Now, luckily for him, Taylor Kitsch was not a good Gambit, and so that's when Fox said, we're going to make a Gambit solo movie, and he was cast. He came out in Comic-Con in that same T-shirt he wore this weekend.
I saw
and
that.
And they announced it. They had a director, they had writers. Gambit was a movie that was getting made, and then the director fell out. It's like kind of how Blade is right now, the new Blade. Like directors keep falling out. It keeps getting delayed, like keeps getting pushed back because like there's something wrong with it. And so the Gambit movie never got made. He makes so many like comments about like, I don't know if I was born here or like if I was ever born at all, you know, and it's all jokes about how his movie never got made, but he was supposed to be Gambit. Hilarious inside jokes.
But also a little bit of like pointing out like, this could have been super cool.
Could have done this.
When they get to the point where he's fighting, it was just like X-Men 97 where like this, when X-Men 97 came out this year, they were having Gambit do things that we were like, thank you that he has these powers. He can do these dope ass like moves and fight scenes. And they did that same thing with him. That he had his cards. He was freaking lighting his cards on fire, blowing shit up. It was
He had the
staff.
He had his bow staff. It was perfect. Basically, they said we got to break into, and of course the fourth member is Daphne Keene. It's Laura. It's X-23, who's the fourth member of the Resistance. We saw her in the final trailer. We knew she was going to be in it. She's grown up. He explains to Wolverine who she is. Like that's kind of cool. But basically, they like we have to break into Cassandra Nova's. We have to get her to send us home. The only way we can do it is if, and there's other jokes, right? Like if we had, do we have Magneto? Is there a Magneto? Do we have his helmet? And like, no, he already died. And then he makes a joke. He's like, oh, is a Daredevil? Is Daredevil here too? And she goes, no, he's dead. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And she goes, nah, it's okay. Like he's my ex-husband, Ben Affleck. You know, like that's like, okay. Like that's pretty fucking funny. But anyway, so then they're like, oh, we could get Juggernaut's helmet. We just have to cut his head off and get his helmet, and then we can do it. Epic fight scene. You don't know, this is the Wolverine, like, you're on your own, I ain't helping you kind of shit. And then Daphne Keene has the conversation with him by the fire, which is a great scene. He explains to her who he is. I'm the wrong guy. I'm not your Wolverine. And she goes, that's the thing. He always showed up when it mattered the most. And she goes, he's, and that's, you see in the trailer, he's like, you got the wrong guy. And she goes, you always were the wrong guy. And that's when he comes. You get a minivan with Elektra, Blade, Gambit, Deadpool, X-23, fucking Wolverine. What is happening?
Yes.
And then you see Blade comes out with a rocket launcher, and he's like, "Where'd you get that?" And she's like, "Oh, that's Punisher's before he died." And Deadpool's like, "Which one? There's been like 5." And it's,
dude, when they were driving
too.
So everyone that you just said is in this van, this epic scene, and they're blasting like Avril Lavigne, like when they're driving. It was so like, what is going on? Ensue badass fight scene.
They fucking kill everybody, and it's horribly violent and awesome. And X-23 actually like cuts Juggernaut's Achilles tendons, and he buckles, and then she cuts his head off and gets his helmet, which is
fucking cool,
fucking awesome.
Yeah,
and
cool.
Deadpool and Wolverine go and confront Cassandra Nova. You find a little bit more about like what makes Wolverine tick in this Wolverine. He's distracted.
It wasn't as. That's the.
It wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, right? Like,
yeah, I thought we were going to say he killed them all.
Because didn't he kill them all in Logan?
In Logan, an old man Logan.
Logan's a very like well-respected being in the multiverse, where this Wolverine, who basically wasn't around when they were killed, is shit. I didn't understand that either. That did seem a little off.
The comic Old Man Logan, he did kill all of them. In the movie Logan, they insinuate or even say that he did, that he killed all of them. And so I thought
not like, but like under other control or something, not like he murdered them, but like he was responsible for their death. This seemed less of bad.
It didn't seem as like
egregious.
Heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, like heavy of why he was so like basically like he thinks it's his fault because he went to the bar.
He wasn't around, and they were all murdered when they needed him, and like
it would have been way more heavy if he was the one that killed all of them. So
right?
I thought that's what they were going to do.
I thought so too, but it didn't happen. Anyway, okay, fair enough.
There.
But maybe they didn't want to do that in case he comes back again. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't murder Wolverine as the.
So anyway, they get the best of Cassandra Nova. It turns out Pyro was also working for Mr. Paradox. Blah blah blah. She's willing to send them back because they beat her, and they explain to her, like, we need to save our world. They go back. Turns out this Time Ripper's about ready to go off. Cassandra Nova shows up because she finds out Paradox is screwing her over, and she wants to rule the Void with this Time Ripper. She wants to destroy all the timelines and take over, and the Void be like the only place anybody is. Like the Void be it, and her basically be the conqueror of all worlds. So she takes over the Time Ripper. She's going to destroy all the universes. Deadpool and Wolverine have to stop it. Basically, the only way they have to do it is they have to complete a connection with the matter and the antimatter. Whoever completes the connection is going to get vaporized, is going to die. Even with their regenerative abilities, there's no way they can do it. Blah, blah, blah. Lots of subcon, blah, 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 blah. Lots of story. Here we go. They argue about who's going to do it. Wolverine's like, let me have. Oh, God, geez, I'm way ahead of myself.
Dude, you're missing the major.
Missed the best scene in the entire movie. I got ahead of myself. Okay, so you go over it. You go over it. You go to the
I was going to say, so there was, like you had said, I think they talk about, like, it feels like the plot is kind of all over the place, or there isn't really a plot. Like, so they are now back in their world.
Yeah.
They're going to stop this Paradox guy. And then all of a sudden, like, all of the Deadpool, like, faction that they mentioned earlier show up to kill Wolverine and Deadpool. So, like, it's just hella, to me, I was like, it's really random of why they're doing this, but also, obviously, they're doing this so that we can see all these different versions of Deadpool, because there's so many versions of them.
Right.
And because we've got Wolverine, we can like have them battle and kill them in a million cool random ways. We got Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool, which was pretty freaking cool. But this was the moment where like Wolverine, all these Deadpools are coming, and for whatever reason they want to kill this one Deadpool. We get Wolverine and Deadpool walk out, and Wolverine pulls his freaking cowl on and just turns into like the comic book angry like animal Wolverine that is just gonna fucking kill everyone. And it's kind of like the movie 300 where it follows Leonidas as he's like fucking dudes up, but it does it for like an entire street of just them walking through the street and killing all these different Deadpools. We got Matthew McConaughey as like Cowboy Deadpool, or I don't know what his particular one is. We got
I think it's Deadpool the Kid, but Cowboy Deadpool is what they call him in the movie. So
yes, we got his Ryan Reynolds' son was one of
daughters.
Kid Deadpool.
Daughters. He's only got daughters. So baby Deadpool and Kid Deadpool are his two daughters.
Oh, I didn't know the baby was. I knew that the kid one was.
Yep.
How cool. How awesome.
Yeah.
Get your whole family in there. So
yeah.
Anyways, I'll let you take us home here.
So then you also had like the zombie head, which is the other popcorn bucket you could get zombie. And that's Nathan Fillion was Zombie Pool.
Did not know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah. So he was. And then one of the Wrexham soccer players is Welsh Deadpool, which I thought was funny too, because obviously Ryan Reynolds owns Wrexham Football Club. I just
saw a picture of Welsh Deadpool before we started the pod, and it was like, oh, I didn't even catch that.
Right. Well, it's funny too. And then a fun fact, Rob McElhaney, who's on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who co-owns Wrexham with Ryan Reynolds, actually was a TVA agent in the scene that got cut. So he actually had a cameo in the movie that got cut on the
I saw that picture floor. Too. That must all drop.
So basically, today. Wolverine and Deadpool, to the song of Like a Prayer, murder all the other Deadpools. And they bust out of the back of this bus after killing them all. It's a fucking awesome fight scene. It's just slaughter. And then there's baby Deadpool laughing at them, and they're like, why are they laughing? Oh, they can all regenerate. Duh, they're all going to come right back. So then here comes Peter on a scooter in the original Deadpool outfit, which doesn't fit in one area in particular. And he gets off the scooter, and every Deadpool is like, oh, it's Peter. We love Peter. Like every Deadpool has a Peter. And so then they stop fighting, right? Like, it's like, oh, Peter, right? And it's hilarious. So then that's where they go, and they have to break the connection. Wolverine and Deadpool are fighting over who gets to do it. Deadpool's like, it's my world. I want to save my people. Wolverine's like, I don't have a world. I don't have people. Let me do this. Let me die. Let me do something right. I've screwed up so much. Deadpool basically hits him over the head and goes in anyway, locks the door. Deadpool grabs the one side. He's reaching for the other side. Wolverine's trying to break in. It looks like they're going to run out of time. Wolverine ends up grabbing Deadpool's hand, popping his claws on the other side. They make the connection together. Wolverine's shirt blows up, glistening abs. Ryan Reynolds is all, staring at him, whatever. And then, of course, they save everything and they get blown up, yada, yada, yada. Cut to the head of the TVA comes, confronts Mr. Paradox about his shady dealings because he's not supposed to be doing what he's doing. And he's like, well, they're both dead. My guys that saved the world, that saved all these universes, they're both dead, And then, of course, here they come to Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, which was fucking hilarious. And they walk out together. Awesome. It's great. And they walk out together, and it was, it was very much like Guardians of the Galaxy, where since they did it together, it didn't kill them, like with the Power Stone at the end of the first Guardians. And basically, they take Paradox away. Head of the TVA says, Deadpool, we have to send you back to the Void. And he's like, no, this is my universe. Like, you can send the rest back, but I get to stay here. This is my people. And the timeline saved because they actually have a new Prime core being in that timeline now. And it's Deadpool, right? Deadpool has now taken that spot as the Prime being. The universe is saved. And then they ask to fix Wolverine's universe if it's possible to go back in time and fix it. Like she said, if we go back and change his past, he's not the Wolverine he is today, and this wouldn't have happened the way that it did, right? He's had his redemption. yada, yada, yada. Wolverine ends up staying in the universe, it looks like. Laura shows back up. She says she's going to go back and try and find the survivors. Will we get more Channing Tatum? I don't know. Could we get more Wesley Snipes? I don't know. No offense to Jennifer Garner. Don't care about Elektra. Sorry.
She was the one that was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. But then Laura shows up too in the universe. So Laura and Wolverine are there. It looks like Deadpool's going to reconcile with Vanessa. Yay. Mm-hmm. Happy end of the movie. Credits roll. Awesome behind the scenes footage of like all the classic Fox, X-Men, Fantastic Four movies. Super cool stuff. It was really neat.
Yeah,
like
that was like that's where you felt like this. That just, oh yeah, so this was like a love letter to all of those movies and Wolverine's history and like how
it was
important
a goodbye.
he was. It was
goodbye to them. It's new now. We're in the Marvel universe. And
Deadpool calls himself like Marvel Jesus multiple times in reference to like saving the Marvel universe because it's been so boring. But also kind of in terms of saying like the old Fox stuff is now done and now this is the new Marvel and Disney. I thought it was like a cool, like,
it was awesome.
Great farewell to all that. So
it was great. There's tons of jokes in this movie about Fox, about the things they did wrong. There's jokes about the MCU and all the things they've been doing wrong. Nothing was off the table. It was hilarious. There's tons of funny scenes, stuff we didn't talk about. And we've talked about this movie a lot more than we do most. And then there's an after credits stinger, and it's basically the video of Chris Evans as Human Torch saying all those awful things about Cassandra Nova that led to his skin getting blown off. And Deadpool's like, let's see what's on tape.
Lick my cinnamon ring.
Yeah, lick my cinnamon ring. Never heard that one before. That's pretty good. But listen, this movie did so much right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Are there plot things that are like, who cares? Why are the Deadpool Corps going to kill the other Deadpool? Why did this happen? What's the importance of this? They don't matter. This movie wasn't about that. This movie was about telling a fun story with two of the most iconic Marvel comic characters of the last 40, 50 years, probably 40 years, and that are still super popular and everybody loves, and we got to see them on screen together. I don't care about any of that other stuff. I loved this movie so much. It's a fucking 10.
Yeah, this is a 10. This is a 10 for sure. Shocked you went with that, even though this was like essentially a perfect movie.
It is.
You are very hard to get a 10 out of you.
10.
So
it's my second 10
what was
ever.
Your first 10?
I gave the
Spider-Man,
the holdovers.
Oh, nice.
I gave that a 10. I like that a lot.
This is a movie I'm going to watch so many times. I'm going to watch it so many times. It's so good.
Listen, I got the popcorn buckets. I bought the figures when they went on sale this weekend.
Yeah, so
I ordered
the
poster to hang up in my man cave. I got
Nice.
the movie poster. Like, I'm going again for the third time. I don't know how many times I'll see this movie in the theater. I fucking love it. It's a 10. It was made for me and people like me. And I don't give a shit about any of the other things. It did all the things I wanted it to do. There was nothing that disappointed me.
Yes. Other than Sabretooth not getting a 30-second fight scene, this was a perfect
I
movie.
liked it.
It wasn't.
It was hilarious.
Awesome.
I didn't give a shit. I didn't come to this movie to see that fight scene.
Yes, I know.
That Sabretooth was always kind of lame to me.
Yeah, it's like most people didn't think that Sabretooth was cool anyway. So
no, and there was nothing against Taylor Mane, but they just made him such a like who cares character, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we got a lot of Wolverine versus Sabretooth in X-Men Origins. We got a ton of fight scenes in that movie.
Yeah, the fucking lame ass Sabretooth. Sabretooth is supposed to be
and
cool.
I like Liev Schreiber. I just don't think that was the right role for him. I don't have a problem with him. I don't think that was the role for him.
It was not. It was nothing as Sabretooth other than the name. Like that was the only thing. We're talking about way different thing.
We've got to get to our next segment, but like, so it's a 10 for both of us, by the way. But like thinking back about X-Men Origins Wolverine and that movie and how bad it is, like Hugh Jackman, if he's not in that movie, it's fucking god awful. Like that's how bad. Like he is so good. And listen, we haven't talked a lot about him or Ryan Reynolds. Like they're so good in this movie. Hugh Jackman's better in this movie than I think he's ever been as Wolverine because he gets to be Wolverine 100%. He doesn't have to hold back anything. He gets to cut heads off. He gets to stab people with his claws. He gets to say, fuck you, shut the fuck up, let's fucking go. He gets to do all that. He even that first scene where they're in the sandpit in front of the 20th Century Fox logo and they're about to fight, and that's when he says, let's fucking go. He does the like on all fours running at him like Wolverine does. Amazing. And Ryan Reynolds, I don't care what anybody says about the guy, whether you like him or not. He was born to play Deadpool. These are two guys that have played their characters so well, they will forever be remembered in these roles. And I think they're fine with that too, because they'll keep playing them until they can't anymore. Till you're 90.
Yeah, which Deadpool multiple times pointed that out, basically, of like, Marvel's gonna ride you till the cows come home. Hugh Jackman, till you're 90, you're gonna play this character.
And if he's having fun,
probably.
Who cares?
Yeah, do it. RDJ, Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and Hugh Jackman, Wolverine are like the characters in the comic books are now more written towards being like these actors. Like that's how people see them now because they brought them to life.
Marvel casting has always been very good, even in the original X-Men movies, right? Like Patrick Stewart was born to play Professor X.
Dude.
Ian McKellen was a great Magneto. Michael Fassbender was a great Magneto. Like the castings have always been pretty damn good. There's a few misses, not a lot.
Sabretooth. That was it.
And that was because of the way they wanted that character to be in the original X-Men. And X-Men Origins, I don't even want to talk about any of that fucking movie. Like terrible. Horrible. But like even I liked James Marsden as Cyclops because he plays the character well. Like there was a lot of people that did a lot of good things in those roles. Alan Cummings as Nightcrawler was fantastic back in the day.
Yes. So good.
So many good casting
characters
decisions
from those movies.
Right. And we've talked about like how lucky we've been with all the Spider-Mans too. Like Marvel does a good job overall with their casting decisions. But anyway, we've got to wrap it up because we're already like at full time and we still got one segment left. So let's get to
two segments left.
Well, yeah, we've got 2 segments left, but let's get to my favorite segment. There can be only 5.
Only 5.
Gee, you and that microphone, man. You're a love-hate relationship.
2 weeks. I've been beating this thing up. I got to get it set up a little bit better.
Smacking it like it owes you money.
You're welcome.
Listen, there was nothing more I think we could have done for our top 5 than as a love letter to Fox Marvel movies and the send-off. We got to do the top 5 Fox Marvel movies, right? Like the X-Men's, the Fantastic Fours, the Deadpools, the Daredevils, whatever. My top 5 Fox Marvel movies. Honorable mention, because I like this movie a lot more than a lot of people, is The Wolverine. I really liked it, especially after X-Men Origins. He got another solo movie and it was so much better. Cool story, set in Japan, Silver Samurai. Really neat, just different kind of feel to a movie, but it was really well done. So I really like that. The Wolverine. And number 5, I had X-Men First Class. The reboot of the franchise. I thought they did a great job. McAvoy was a great cast. Fassbender's great. No Wolverine. He has like a little 2-second one line in it. But the casting overall was cool. I think Kevin Bacon was a cool. Sebastian Shaw is the bad guy. Set during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I really liked how they rebooted it. Made me feel really good about what they were going to do with the future of X-Men after that movie came out. Number 4, I had X2. Of the original X-Men movies, it's by far the best one. You get the Weapon X backstory, you get Dark Phoenix, and it's all told really well done. Plus, you get Magneto and you get Professor X and all that.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler, one of the best opening to a super, to the superhero movie. Nightcrawler just going to kill the president, pretty freaking wild. Anyway,
Badass.
X2 I have at number 4. My top 3 I had a hard time with because they're close, like all of them. It depends on the day on which one's my favorite. So I went at number 3. I went X-Men: Days of Future Past. It's my favorite X-Men team movie. It incorporated both the old and the new. It centers around, it's one of the greatest comic book stories ever told. It's centered around Wolverine's character traveling back in time to stop an assassination attempt that basically ends the world with the birth of the Sentinels. Fantastic movie. You haven't watched in a long time. Go back and watch Days of Future Past. It's great. At number 2, I had Deadpool. I had the first one. I like the first one a lot more than the second one. I know there's a lot of people who like the second one better. The first one was such a great movie. Low budget, too. It was like $50 million. The jokes, the violence, just Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, the way he should have been portrayed in X-Men Origins, like fantastic. Deadpool's such a great movie. I can still watch that anytime and I love it. So the original Deadpool I had at number 2. And then number 1 is Logan. Wolverine's send-off movie. It's epic. It really it should have been one of those movies that should have had awards contention because it was so good. So well done. So dramatic.
Yep.
What an awesome tone. What a great movie.
And at that point, that felt kind of like the goodbye to the X-Men franchise of of Hugh Jackman's X-Men. So nice. Okay. Love that. Our lists are different. I have 2 honorable mentions. I had Deadpool 2 as an honorable mention because Cable was just so fucking cool, and the Juggernaut I thought was really cool in that. But it just didn't have the same vibe as the first one. But I did like it. And then another honorable mention, which everyone hates this movie, but I fondly remember X-Men: The Last Stand as an honorable mention, primarily because of the emotional scene at the end when Wolverine has to kill freaking Jean Grey. It's like he did so good with that moment that I like that movie. Even though there's a lot of bad stuff about the whole thing, it was better than what people remember. Okay, number 5, I've got my top 5 Fox Marvel movies. I have number 5, the original X-Men with Wolverine, first appearance, Hugh Jackman Wolverine. That movie, I feel like, set the tone or laid the groundwork for superhero movies moving forward. Really, without that, I don't think we'd have what we do now.
I don't know if we do, because it came out like a year or 2 before Spider-Man. It kind of was we can do this and make a good movie.
Yes. So perfectly casted characters. Wolverine felt just perfectly cast. I wish they would have made Cyclops a little bit cooler, but anyways, I really like that movie. It's a movie that I could put on at any time and just be totally into it.
I watched it last night.
I just watched it a week ago for whatever reason. I was just I'm watching the first one.
I just want to see
It's so good. It's so good.
Be a badass.
He's no. It's funny watching him in that movie. After you see in every other movie, he's roided out, just fucking meathead, and in the first one, he's not at all. He's still big, but he's not.
He's still jacked. But I mean, his abs aren't the size of a fist.
Yeah, his veins don't have veins. He's so veiny. Okay, here we go. Number 4, I've got X-Men: Days of Future Past. I thought this movie was awesome. I'll be the one to say it, and I know I'm the minority in this. I don't like the X-Men movies of like the reboot. I thought the First Class was kind of cool, but it just felt like it was missing something to me. It didn't feel. My X-Men are the like cartoon X-Men 97 X-Men. That's what I think.
It's fair.
And I felt like that reboot franchise was going for more of kind of that original vibes, like way back in the day vibes. Obviously, it's set in the Cuban Missile Crisis time frame, like, which makes sense. But for me, I didn't connect to it as much as the like Hugh Jackman X-Men movies. But this movie was great because it took the cool parts of the new franchise and it took the cool parts of the old franchise and it melded them together. And that was like mind blowing seeing a reboot of a franchise and another franchise, same characters in the same world. And we got Wolverine. It was cool. And going back in time was like, oh my God, we could do a time travel movie and it actually be good. Crazy.
Yeah.
Number 3, I have the original Deadpool. Just like that, there's so much about that movie that will be forever remembered because of just what it did for rated R superhero movies, random niche characters that aren't like part of the Avengers, but still can be really interesting and cool. Ryan Reynolds leaned into like a character that he felt like he connected with and understood, and then hit a grand slam with that movie. And like the second one was cool because it was bigger, it was better, it was more expensive, but there was something about that first one and how it became a thing. There was basically like a fan film like that had been made that then turned into like, this could, holy shit, look what Ryan Reynolds could have done if they would have gave him it like actually be Deadpool instead of what Origins did and ruined it. And then somehow that turned into one of the greatest rated R movies of all time.
Yep.
Deadpool number 1 as my number 3. Number 2, X2. I don't know what it is about X2, but that is like the perfect X-Men movie to me. Nightcrawler's opening scene is fucking amazing. Wolverine, like you said, we get the Weapon X backstory. We get like Lady Deathstrike is in it. Like the bad guys just feel cool. The battle at the end feels like important. Like even the Jean Grey, like the end of that movie is memorable. Like the camera over the water, and like we all think we can see a phoenix under there, or maybe we can or can't. Like that was just, that movie fucking rocks. It's my favorite of all of them. So good. And then my number 1 is Logan because of everything you said. It was the first X-Men movie. I think maybe the Wolverine, there's a little bit of like rated R of him like killing people with his
it's not the same,
claws,
but yeah.
It felt like Logan was the first time that they were like, all right, like you can actually get crazy. And when he's with his the like limousine at the beginning, those guys are trying to steal his tires, and he like sticks his claws to the guy's head and fucking snicks him through. It was like, oh my God, this is going to be fucking epic. So I think he's killed a couple people in the other movies, but it didn't feel
like
it
just wasn't insanity. The same. Right.
But it was so good. Like I said, we got the goodbye to that franchise, like the Charles Xavier, freaking Patrick Stewart, like as dying Professor X, and then Wolverine, we got to see him die. It was just like, it was so cool. There was a line in the Wolverine where she talks about like him, like, I see you like dead with your heart in your hand, and then this movie ends with him like dead with him holding X-23
lying on your back with your heart in your hand.
Yes, which they are, I think, alluding to that she is like his daughter or daughter figure, but like that was just so cool. It was so fucking good. It's a great movie. Logan, number 1, Fox superhero movie. Outstanding. Our lists were different but similar. And then that brings us, I'm just kind of speeding through because we're way over time here, but I do want to go through this because I'm excited about the movies I've got pulled up for our How Rotten Is Your Tomatoes. I'm excited to see where we go. There are movies all over the board here. I'm just going to go in order
Hit me.
of what we've got. So for those that don't know, this is our segment where I share two movies, and basically see how his job is to guess which movie was rated higher in the Rotten Tomatoes score, and then roughly where that score is, and we see like, oh, you were way off, or oh, you were right. Don't know what you're doing with your fleshlight there, but okay. Number one group of movies. Which one is higher, and what are they rated? I have 2005's Sin City against 2011's Super 8.
Ooh.
Which I don't know if you watch Super 8, but I fucking love Super 8. Obviously, I love Sin City.
Boy, I'm going to say, ooh, that's tough. Oof.
That's why I picked them. So I'm like, ooh, that's
really
difficult one.
I think they're both really high, too. I'm going to say Sin City's higher.
What do you score it?
88. And Super 8's like an 86.
Sin City is lower.
Damn.
At a 77%.
Bullshit.
Super 8 is an 82%. I will say IMDb did have Sin City as a higher rated movie. 8.2. Super 8
should be. I like nothing wrong with Super 8, but it's not as impactful as Sin City is.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw them, and I was like, that doesn't feel right, but okay.
No, critics are fucking suck a dick.
Number two group of movies, way on different kind of wavelengths, but both important, in my opinion. We've got 1992's Sister Act with 2005's War of the Worlds.
Let's say War of the Worlds is higher at a 92. I'm going to say Sister Act's like a 90.
Okay. This was just really an opportunity for me to talk about Sister Act because I loved it. Our house, we were Sister Act people, and Sister Act 2. Love them both.
All right.
War of the Worlds is higher.
Yeah.
At 73%.
Jeez. Okay.
Sister Act. This is the biggest atrocity that I've seen today. Is a 65%.
Yeah,
Get the fuck out of here.
I think they both would be
Get
like
out of here.
high 80s. I don't know.
At
That's
least.
weird.
Yeah, I was shocked.
I mean, like, I'm not a huge War of the Worlds fan, but like, it's really well done.
I actually liked it. I think I was thinking like, I think a lot of people think this movie wasn't good, but I liked it.
Spielberg movie too. I mean,
so that's where I was going with trying to trick you. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Okay, here we go. Jumping over, we've got 3 more pairs. 2005's, which one is higher and what are they rated? 2005's Wedding Crashers. In 1996, one of the greatest years in movie history, Black Sheep. Which one's rated higher?
Wedding Crashers is higher, 65. Black Sheep's a 58.
I'm shocked. Wedding Crashers is higher at a 74%. Black Sheep, a whopping 28%.
I don't like Black Sheep. I don't think it's that good.
Oh, man. I thought
I'm a Tommy Boy.
I
to me,
it.
Like Tommy Boy's 100 times better.
Oh, I should have. That's what I should have went with, was Tommy Boy. Okay. Well, I didn't. I was shocked that was that bad.
It's pretty low. I mean, it's lower than I would have thought, but like I've seen Black Sheep probably 3 times. I've seen Tommy Boy like 50.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Okay, here we go. Next group, 2006, X-Men: The Last Stand versus 2006, The Da Vinci Code.
We had X-Men: The Last Stand. Wasn't that last week? Did we do that?
I don't think we did. We did?
Yeah. I had it.
You obviously don't remember. God damn it. How did I fucking do that again?
Yeah, we did. You were so mad about what the score was.
Every fucking time. Don't look at your notes.
I'm not. I was trying to think about what I had it up against. Was it like Spider-Man 3 and X-Men: The Last Stand? I think it was.
Fuck. How did I fucking... I need to
the Da Vinci Code's higher. Last Stand, I'm going to say I'm trying to remember now. Was X-Men: The Last Stand like a 62 and then Da Vinci Code's like a 64?
X-Men: Last Stand is higher
Oh,
at
okay.
a 56%.
I was going to say like 56. Damn it. I should have said that. That was
The
what I
Da
had in my head.
Vinci Code, that was world epic, was a 24%.
Yeah, okay. That's low, but wow.
I remember the Da Vinci Code being like this epic thing of like, that
I read
was just
the
one of
book
the most
was.
amazing movies ever. Okay,
The
so
book was. Yeah, the book was a phenomenon when it came out. And then they made a movie, and the movie was like,
man, when we saw that in theaters, my mom and I were like fucking geeking out about it.
yeah. Did you read
Shocking.
the book, though?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Obi-Wan was a weird bad guy.
Damn it. Okay. All right, last one. I hope to God we haven't done these two. And now that I think about it, I think maybe I've done one on this first week. Here we go. Last two movies. 1992's Home Alone 2 Lost in New York versus 1997's Spawn.
Shit. Spawn's higher. Let's say Spawn's higher. Home Alone's a 42. Spawn's a 44.
Spawn was higher at a 21%.
Oh, boy.
One of the greatest movies of all time that gets watched by millions of people every single year, Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, is a 17%.
Wow.
A movie that gets watched every single year.
Credit. That's crazy. I mean,
did you think it was that bad? 17%?
It's not that much worse. It's not like abysmally worse than the first one. It's not. They were both fun. I don't understand that. They were
both awesome.
Yeah,
equally awesome.
I don't get that
Anyways,
at all. That's goofy.
Well, there we are. We were all over the board today with these
Deadpool
ones.
and Wolverine was at 78%. Rotten Tomatoes is stupid.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out. Anyway, we got to wrap it up. We're almost at 2 hours. Whew, sorry for that, but we had a lot to talk about. First movie we both given a 10 to. It's important. We had to talk. That brings us to the end of episode 56 of the Movie Dads podcast, Deadpool and Wolverine. If you're watching us on YouTube, please click the like and subscribe. Click the bell so you get notifications when new episodes come out, which is 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on Wednesdays. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you can find us on many other podcast networks such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, among many others. You can see some of our short clips and videos on social media at Movie Dads Pod, on Instagram, Facebook. We're coming back next week, episode 57. A little bit has to tie in with this movie. Something we talked about a few weeks back. We're going to do the entire Blade trilogy.
Buckle it is.
Buckle
here
the
frick up. Go.
Blade trilogy, all Wesley Snipes, all the time. Vampires. Man, you've got some Guillermo del Toro in there, like lots of good stuff going on. So be prepared. We got Ryan Reynolds in there, Jessica Biel, Triple H, Dracula.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Go see Deadpool and Wolverine.